Hello, Namaste, Divine Beings. I want to bring you this transmission, which is all about the interplay and intersection of lifestyle, quality of life, and stabilization. I'm really excited to bring this to you. It's something that I've been meditating on and contemplating for a while. I want to first apologize for the background noise. Yeah, it's a thing and it's just going to be a characteristic of this video. So here we go. So in this journey that I've been on in the last 17 years and more potently, more intensively since integrating the Quantic teachings with my teacher, Brooks Braun, over the last 5 years, my inner standing and my embodied experience of what it is to be truly stabilized has gone to a completely other level, which I am delighted for, much needed. And this journey, a huge part of it was just really coming to terms with my own health, my own well-being, of layers and layers coming off from all the work that I've done up to that point. Layers coming off for me to be able to deeply see the true reality of the impact that my environment has had on me, the impact the way that I've been eating, the impact of my mind and my emotions has also had on this light body, on these three dimensions of the mental, emotional, and the physical plane, and this physical experience that I'm having here. And through my own experience, I've been able to have that lived, embodied experience and validate for myself the importance of radically examining and shifting my whole perception of lifestyle and quality of life. And that's where I am today. I'm at a point of having finally taken the steps to truly actualize the quality of life that I know that I desire and that I require to do the level of work that I'm here to do to fulfill my life path, my Dharma, and to fulfill the missions that I'm being guided to do. And I have been very blessed till now to have been deeply listening and have cultivated lots of tools to be able to be in this flow and to see the signs when they come, and to be in that way of living as nature, becoming a force of nature and seeing where I'm taken, and rather than the mind driving forward my ambitions and actively taking me into places and spaces, I've been able to arrive at where I'm arriving and then bring my mind in to help work out what to do and to take action and to make things happen and create and run projects and that kind of thing. And that does in itself take years and tools and skills to grow and develop. And for many of you out there, it's also something very natural. There is that merit that you might already have within your being. It may be that you've cultivated that in your life and you really see you have that level of enlightenment already within you, that recognition and insight that you are a force of nature and you're flowing, and what's coming to you is a result of not just in a simplistic way of what you put out there is directly manifesting. I mean, yes, that is happening. And also that the more that you refine yourself, the greater that which is manifesting is also coming in a more refined way, in a pure way. And ultimately our purified desire, so our desire that we take into a process and we purify and purify, so that desire is coming from a place of deep love, of deep alignment within our being, then that which arrives to us is instantaneous. I really truly believe that, and is the most powerful and highest timeline for us. So why and how is lifestyle and life experience or quality of life connected to stabilization? Well, first and foremost, our journey into stabilizing our being on all levels, so our mental, emotional, and our physical dimensions, and the alignment of our being through those dimensions, our generators, our chakras, our energy system, our meridians, our nadis, like all of the energetic anatomy that make and wiring that make us what we are, and able for us to have this collapse into matter and have this physical experience in a time space bound environment. Like, this in itself is a complex set of technologies that requires a, let's say, powering, a charging, a switching on, and an alignment to the natural forces that fundamentally keep it active, functioning, and programmed, and charged, as I mentioned, but programmed. So we think of ourselves in terms of cellular and biochemical responses, but really we're operating at a much deeper level than that. And I've come to know that the biochemical response and the hormones and the enzymes and all that kind of stuff is really secondary or tertiary. That first and foremost, the conversation that's happening in our body, the communication, the coming together, the lock and keys and all of that is an electrical communication. And that our alignment to the natural elements through which we feed from, we feed from electricity, and we learn to harness that and pull that into our being. Well, we don't learn, it happens innately. We can also learn extra techniques to bring more of that in. That in itself is charging and sustaining our being. And it's a combination of that way of the energy coming in and also our connection to the earth and the magnetism of the earth, and how the interaction of those two creates and supports this electromagnetic being. We are ourselves an emanation, an expression, a child of this earth. And that's another lecture. And we require ourselves to be in some form of alignment in order to function optimally. And that alignment, coming back to nature and coming back to eating in a way that is in alignment with the sun, it's coming back to knowing the potent ways, the shortcuts of bringing in, accumulating vast amounts of energy that we need to replenish when we're depleted. And that's the thing, is that most of us are actually walking around severely depleted because we haven't been accumulating the energy and aligning ourselves in the correct order, timing, and rhythm to be able to accumulate enough energy to deplete what we are depleting on the mental, emotional, and physical plane. All of that, let's say, contamination and interference from the environment, toxicity, pathogens, as well as the experiences that we have, the mental loops, neurosis that we create, the heavy emotions that drop in, all of that is taking energy to move when we have it in a greater abundance than what we're designed or what our bodies can actually handle. And so this depletion is happening day on day on day. And if we're not accumulating the energy that we need from nature and from food and from water, then we're not able to replenish that. And so we become destabilized and we stay destabilized. And that destabilization just slowly chips away over time. And so to come back to recognizing this, even to coming to terms with this life we've created for ourselves, to these patterns, these behaviors, what keeps us stuck and anchored here in this kind of a lifestyle, requires us to really commit to and examine our lifestyle and start to ask that question of what kind of quality of life and life experience do we really want? Because for me, this is inextricably linked. If we are to stabilize ourselves, we must develop a lifestyle that allows us to do the things, create the space, create the time, and do the things that we need to do in order to stabilize. And a lot of this stuff is free. It's not about doing more trainings, buying more stuff, eating more superfoods, getting a fancy juicer. It's not about that. It's not about the biohacking stuff. We are already hacking our bio at if you're watching this, you are definitely biohacking in this moment, because this being in itself is the bio, and it's through our consciousness and opening it and realigning ourselves to the natural forces, taking our place as a force of nature. That is the ultimate biohack. It's just knowing the shortcuts and how to harness and access those master codes. And for me, all of this realignment of the lifestyle is ultimately bringing me into a deep, deep contemplation of my quality of life and recognition that this is the quality of life that I desire. I desire to be poured into by nature. And as I am already pouring into nature. And so this act of reciprocity is fundamental. I am already pouring into nature. I begin the process of reciprocity by giving, by pouring into my community, by pouring into my family, my loved ones, the world around me, this work, this devotion, by sitting at my altar and doing this work, this ritual and ceremonial work into the grid. And so now it's time to allow myself to be poured into in all of the ways that happens. And fundamentally, that happens through nature. If we aren't open to that, to receiving, to being engaged in this process of being poured into by nature, that this is what brings us pleasure and adventure and joy. If we're not open to that, then we're not opening ourselves to this higher potential of a quality of life that I know deep down you really, really deserve. So if you're on this path where you feel that you have the tools, you have all the training, you do have spiritual depth, and you are experiencing the mystery of life, but you're not yet manifesting what you desire, the wealth, the abundance, and maybe you don't feel that you're stabilized yet, perhaps it's time to tune into how these three interplay, how they're all interacting with one another and inextricably linked. And without all three of these, we aren't fundamentally going to go into the next octave of our evolution. So for me, just the experience of evolving my consciousness through aligning, through experiencing the non-physical in different ways. And I'm going to go through this more and more in the other videos, but this is the potential also of our life experience. It's not just about adventure and fun through being more free and less burdened and having a better lifestyle and being, energetically clearer. It's about having access to the deeper, fundamental universe, the technologies of this being, of interdimensionally journeying, of journeying also within our external reality into the dream space and into the astral realms, to communicating with the planets and the stars and with nature and all of these beyond physical phenomenon that we are absolutely here to enjoy as part of this way of being, this life experience and this lifestyle. So they're all together, they're all linked. So if you have been, like me, pouring into your work, into your community, pouring your love into supporting humanity, perhaps it's time for you to open yourself to receive, to be poured into by nature, by others, and have a fundamentally elevated experience and quality of life.